Sometimes I stop in my studio and I think, isn't it odd to have such a love for a pot? You know, I mean, sometimes it almost seems silly.
Unholy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, silly.
Yes.
So this is Ruggles and Rankin from Rock Creek Pottery, and I remember really being taken with how low profile the handles were. You know, even, you're right, the volume sits way down at the base. The neck is long, and that handle, it's almost too tight at some point, but it isn't. And when I think of their pots, it's a reminder to me how you don't need to overplay an idea. That, you know, my intent, if I was starting to make a handle, I'd give it more room.
Yes.
And I don't need to, always, because it just hugs in tight and it has such a lovely feel to it. And it's direct and generous. Look how fat the base of that handle is. Yeah. It's wider than the top of the handle.
Yeah. Some of the pots that have surprised me in my collection, Simon, have been the pots that seem like they're not quite right sometimes, like you mentioned with the handle, and that fascinates me.
But is it because they're kind of breaking a rule that you were taught, and yet doing it in such a way that there's a logic, there's a reasoning behind it, so it works and it makes sense, but it's not what you were taught. You know, like, if I think back to the way I was taught about making a handle, you put it on, attach it, and then you can stretch it out and make sure you got enough room to get your hand in there. I mean, just those words, make sure you got enough room to get your hand in there. We don't think about challenging those. Well, what if there was just enough room to get your hand in there?
And that's what this one is, just enough. Enough.
Do you think it's that is that the tension?
I don't think it's quite that with me. I think that's a really good thought, though, because I think that makes sense for most of us when we study and we're trying to get that. For me, it's a little bit different. It's more like meeting a person, and there's some idiosyncrasy about them that you're not sure about, but that you grow to really love.